And it is 10:03 and I'm calling this meeting to order. First thing I'd like to do is move to make.
And no motion. You just get to do it.
Okay. Oh, sorry, thank you. I would like to make Paula Deacon Garcia and Dawn Desart members of this committee for the purpose of our quorum. And we have a roll call.
Member Chaplin. Member Covert. Member Evans.
Here.
Member Ozog.
Here.
Member Tornatori. Member Zay.
Here.
Okay. Okay, and so
Members, they walked in.
and member Zay came in. Okay, so Paula, I'm taking you off the committee. Mr. Zay is here. Thank you. Decorum, please. All right, we got our roll call. Okay, chair remarks. We have a couple of things to discuss. What I'd like to talk about is an email that a lot of you may have received regarding the prairie path and trimming on the prairie path. So Sid is here and I'll let you start. And
Fortunate enough, I don't get the emails for transportation for some reason. That's trying to get them. So.
okay, we've been notified of an issue. And if you would like to take the stage.
Okay, sure.
I'll
So
let
I'll
you-
introduce the topic, then I'll turn it over to Sid. So
Okay.
the Transportation Committee and Chair Conroy and others have received an email from Mr. Kirchenberg making us aware that it appears that our DOT crews, as part of the winter, a lot of what we do when we're not plowing, like today, or last night, is we do a lot of tree vegetation management, especially on our prairie paths when they're not leafed out. It's so much easier. And so we started on a location, I think yesterday, we had crews out removing trees, and we were brought to our attention by Mr. Kirchenberg that we were removing trees beyond the 6-foot clear zone or buffer that in previous years, back in 2002, it's my understanding that the county adopted a trails maintenance plan, and it talked about minimum buffer zones. And so the trees that are what's being removed is beyond that 6-foot buffer zone. So with that, to clarify, that's what was in the emails many of you got. So I'll clarify the research that Sid has done just in the last 24 hours and what our next steps will be.
So that 6-foot buffer, 3 to 6 feet, is specifically supposed to be for mowing. So we're not supposed to mow beyond that 6-foot buffer off the edge of path. The current trails maintenance policy that is adopted by the board indicates that we can go beyond that, especially if we're focused on eradicating invasive species and trimming back what might be further growth that would encroach on that zone in a new year. And so that's how we've interpreted that with our maintenance practices. I went out there today and inspected what had been trimmed, talked to some of our crews. It is in fact 95% buckthorn, what's been trimmed out there and is yet to be collected. And there are some tree branches out there, but there have been no tree removals as far as I can tell so far, full tree removals of healthy trees. So that's in accordance with our policy.
And would you say most of the buckthorn is what he pictured, maybe less than 3 inches diameter?
Yes.
Something like this.
Yes. Yes, you
Okay.
can definitely hold it in your hand.
Okay.
So you can imagine when we're trying to mow a 6-foot buffer, we can't have a buckthorn protruding where it could be, safety concern to our mowers, but also the 3 to 6 foot buffer zone is also for trail users if they need to pull off for an emergency or someone's coming at them, they feel safe and they just need a kind of a pull off area. So we don't want anything that's going to encroach on that vertically anywhere. And so cutting back the buckthorn, which is invasive and grows back quickly, it is a constant effort by our crews to keep that buffer zone clear, which means maybe going beyond the buffer zone so that the buckthorn isn't growing into it at any given season.
Member.
Thank you, Chair Ozog. I'm not part of this committee, but I was part of that email thread. So if you're cutting buckthorn at this time of year, my understanding is that herbicides don't work under 55 degrees. So what are you doing when you're cutting them down to make sure that they don't just pop back up in the spring?
As far as I know, we are not herbiciding any buckthorn right now. So really it's just getting back out there every year and trimming back the buckthorn regrowth.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things in the trails plan that we brought before this committee a couple of weeks ago, months ago, and that ultimately will be bringing forward to this committee and ultimately board for adoption sometime the next first quarter of 24, was a whole section dedicated to vegetative management, plant management, and the talk about pilot projects to take care of invasives and ultimately replace those invasives with more friendly or more appropriate plantings, whatever that may be. We also have that grant for the oak trees that we'll be doing in the area where, again, we're going to remove all the buckthorn, all the invasives, and do a planting in the spring of specimen oak trees through the Morton Arboretum grant.
Music to my ears. And the Forest Preserve has done a great job of really getting rid of a lot of buckthorn. So I'll hope that, you know, at least they're a good example to say, look at what happens when you do that. So thanks, Chris. And
Member Zay.
Sid.
Yeah, I don't think this is about trees, this is about safety. I mean, again, no, we've always had concerns where people are using the trails. We don't want these canopies over the top where bad people could hang out or lurk or do whatever. We want a straight shot so you can see down the trails. So there's no areas where, you know, things are overgrowing, people could be there. It gives them more of a sense of safety. Yeah. I
Or where
mean,
you
we
can
just-
get hit in the face by
in the
branches.
face, but again, you don't want stuff hanging over where people could eat, you don't see them. I mean, that's why we have that buffer zone, so we can cut stuff back, so you can have a straight shot, so you can see people down, so it doesn't give anybody any ideas if there's kind of a covered area. So kind of more of a safety issue for our users, more than, you know.
And we know, you know, for sure, the area we're working at is at County Farm Geneva, which is a heavily traveled,
Yeah.
one of the most highly traveled sections of our pass system. And there's a lot of activity at that intersection with users going to the different branches and stuff. So, so again, making that area wide enough for the number of users we have is, I think, a good thing.
So we'll respond to Mr. Kurtzberg and
We will,
remind him about our mowing versus, and take it from there. But we'll
Take 'em to
also talk
different
about
trails.
a replanting program, yes, in the future.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Southern DuPage has beautiful trails too.
What's that?
Southern DuPage has beautiful trails too.
That's right.
Southern DuPage too.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. Okay, any public comment today?
There are one.
One, okay,
Morning, everybody.
there you go.
Dave Arcus, I'm a resident of Wheaton and an advocate with Dark Sky Chicago. We talk about light pollution and how to mitigate it. So what I usually talk to with folks like DuPage, who are early adopters, is I talk about some of the things you can do once you've started conversion. The first thing is a move that's national towards warmer lighting. Most of the early adopters have already switched. They started with 4,000 Kelvin or brighter, and they're moving to 3,000 Kelvin or less. It has less glare, it has less scatter, it has less issue with circadian rhythm. That's the one side. The other side is about the use of dimming or other adaptive controls to save money. About 50% of municipalities have already started switching, but only 10% use dimming. Dimming has been proven that you can go to 50% without being noticeable by the human eye. So you can actually take whatever you establish for whatever warmth LED you use, cut it to 50%, save about 50% of your cost, and reduce light pollution by 50%. Some of the cities go further on off streets, but main streets, I'd say they stick around 50%. So that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to our minutes. I move for approval of our committee minutes from Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Have a second? Any comments or questions or changes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, I move for approval of DTP 000124. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ciorva Group Incorporated for professional Phase 2 design engineering services for the bridge replacement project on County Highway 11, Army Trail Road, bridge over the West Branch DuPage River, for a contract total not to exceed $660,323.04. Professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process. Have a second? Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next I move for approval of DTR 00124, awarding resolution issued to Homer Tree Service for the removal of trees in advance to plan 2024 bridge and or roadway improvements for an estimated county cost of $90,862 per lowest responsible bid. I have a second. Any comments or questions about this? Mr. Zay.
What is that window now we have, the batless window that we can work through?
November 1 to March 31st.
Okay.
So that's why we're doing an advanced contract, so we can, so for the newer members, I think we discussed this last year, that the northern long-eared bat is endangered, and so in order to protect its habitat, we can only remove trees certain times of the year, which is essentially winter, so November to March 31st. So a lot of our road projects don't get on the street until January, February, March, and it always includes tree removal up front. And depending on when contractors mobilize, we would miss that window of March 31st. So this year, Bill and his team, Yifang, have come up with, we're going to do advanced contracts for tree removal for those projects that have tree removal. But that's our long answer to the.
I think we are looking for one county board member to adopt a bat, so I recommend Sheila. for that.
She'll take it. She said she doesn't like those mosquitoes.
I love bats.
I have 5, so I can already.
5 bats?
I
Cool.
can't take any more, so. It is true. I do have bats. We call it Batty. And he's always there. But thank you. Any other comments or questions about this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up, fiscal year 2024 construction program.
So I'll introduce the topic. We're not here to make any recommendations for any changes to the 2024 construction program that we submitted as part of our budget. So when we do our budgets, we're doing these budgets in June, and we're making projections on when projects will be available for letting and construction. And so as we go into the 2024 construction season, we always look around December when the budget's approved to say, okay, what projects do we know for sure are going to be on the street and begin construction? When are they going to get on the street for an advertisement but may not start construction to the following year? And delays due to plan readiness, permitting, land acquisition, a lot of reasons why a project may be delayed. And so what I suspect is maybe in January, Bill will come forward with any recommendations to maybe move a project in 25 forward if a 24 project is going to slide, so that we can continue to spend our dollars on projects. And that's what we did last year. If you remember, we added a whole resurfacing program last year for $5 million. We did a central contract because of some project delays. So that'll be a future discussion, any recommendations to move projects that are in the 5-year program and being worked on, but those that can be advanced into 24 if projects in 24 are delayed and won't have to have any activity or any funding.
That makes sense. So we'll look for that update in
Future.
January.
Yep.
Something for you to think about over the Christmas holidays.
Exactly.
So piggybacking on the public comment about street lighting and dimming, do we have, like, say for 91st Street, we're looking at sidewalks and lighting. Do we have any, are those street lights anything new that we're building? Would they have the capabilities for dimming?
So
will.
the lights themselves will physically be capable of it. The question on that particular location is going to be what's the purpose of the lights and whether dimming is appropriate or not. So I think, the comment was certainly valid that there are a lot of agencies that are starting to use dimming. On the county highway system, we are not presently, partly because some of them are not capable. But certainly we don't know that the county highway, the traffic volume and that sort of thing is appropriate. 91st Street, however, not being a county highway, is it more for pedestrian lighting rather than street lighting? There's some factors there that we can look into as to whether that's feasible. Certainly the color temperature we're aware of, and we're sensitive to keeping that temperature as low number wise, which is the warmth that was discussed. So we're definitely on, that's part of our specifications, part of our design approach.
Okay, so as we're replacing lighting, we are making them capable of, I guess warmth is different from the actual dimming capabilities. Are we speccing them out so that they do have the capabilities for dimming if we want to?
Yeah, pretty much any new fixture that gets put up has that capability built in. Then you have to get the controls to actually operate it that way. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
a useful thing when we're replacing things that are 40 or 50 years old
Yeah.
everywhere, so.
Absolutely.
Our new maintenance building will have warming and dimming light capabilities.
Correct. Any other comments or questions about this? Okay, so we'll look for a January update and see where we're at for 2024. Any old business? I do have an item of old business. This is Chris's last transportation committee.
When have we heard that
Oh,
before?
where am
I know, my,
I doubt that.
may I change that, my statement to, I believe this is Chris's last transportation meeting, and cannot thank you enough. Thank you for staying on this extra few weeks. Well, I have your phone number, both numbers. But it's going to be, you've left us in very good hands, very good shape,
Absolutely.
so I think things will be great. And we will continue to eradicate buckthorn and do all the other good work that we're doing. So thank you so much. All right, you are excused. Mr.
Thank you.
Zink. Our male caucus has just left the room. Let the minutes show that.
Wait,
he needs-
if he leaves,
wait,
then
he
we
needs
have
to
to make
stay for
Vicky Garcia
quorum.
a member.
Okay.
for the last one.
Okay, you may leave.
Don't we need to-
You're back being a member.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have like old business, new business? No?
We still have new business.
Yeah.
Any new
I have new
business?
business.
Okay.
Oh, Christ.
Please do not add that to the minutes. Well,
That just sit by me.
It's truly the end of the year.
You're off again, Paula.
It's only
Like my retirement, it never happened.
Right, what is your new business number?
Thank you. My new business is this. For almost a year, maybe a little over a year, I've been talking with a neighborhood in District 5. They live along 75th Street in Modaf, and their homes back up to 75th Street. Well, they see their other neighborhoods have sound barrier walls, and they want a sound barrier wall as well. Like I said, after talking to Chris, after talking to the Naperville municipality, I've said no, 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 no for over a year, and they don't want to hear no as an answer. So I just wanted to thank Chris so much, and now Bill, for meeting with the residents, and they want to be heard, and for actually thinking outside of the box and giving those neighbors some other ideas to have in there. So my new business is just gratitude. Thank you so much. The neighborhood has not wanted to hear my no all year, and now you've given them some hope for other options. So thank you on behalf of District 5. Yeah, Patty was there as well.
We're not done yet, but
And you heard, you listened to the people, and really that's what they wanted. They wanted to be listened to.
it is, and they really, really appreciate it.
And they did appreciate it very
do.
much. So on
Thank
behalf
you.
of District 5, thank you both.
But you also know where to find all of us, so we'll carry on. Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add that when we lived over adjacent to Butterfield Road and they expanded to 4 lanes, our neighborhood also was not part of the sound barrier. We ended up doing sound reading. I mean, it took us a year and a half to finally get IDOT to understand that we hit those criteria just as well as all the other people along there. We finally
Well,
did
this
get
is
it.
an IDOT, it's not a state road. it's a county road.
Okay,
So you wouldn't, and you wouldn't have the values
well,
that,
but some of the
Were you on the south
tactics
side?
still apply. I'm sorry.
were you on the south side of?
No, we were on the north side.
Oh,
They said we didn't have enough receptors in our neighborhood, and which was untrue because the Kime development just on the other side of Weisbrook Road was not even built out yet. So how can you say that? But yeah, we did quite a few things to get them to listen to us.
Well, I didn't want to talk about sound barriers. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to our
Yeah.
residents.
thank you very much.
I think we have a path forward with them, a
We
partnership.
do, and I think they're very grateful for a path,
Sounds-
so, yeah, thank you.
So we'll get that summary out, Bill and I, to the both of you, as well as to Carrie, that she can then send it out to.
And for follow-up, we're meeting in January, the group again. So anyway, thank you.
All right, keep us posted. Any other new business? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned until next year. Thank you.
All right.
Have a great holiday,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.
Thank you, you too.
Okay.